Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Like we told you earlier, right? Gold is one of our favorite things to buy. It's always on the top of our shopping list. So we at ET Now thought we'll get you a guide on how you can go around buying gold, or even for that matter, how should you buy gold in a way that will not hamper with the overall returns that your financial portfolio can dole out. Because do remember, gold is a safe haven asset at the end of the day. And now, of course, with the advent of financial, the financial system in India, there are not just bullions or jewelry that you can invest in, or rather get exposure in gold by. There's sovereign gold bonds, there's gold ETFs, gold dedicated mutual funds, e-gold, digital gold. All these methodologies of investing in gold have come around. So we are going to tell you how can you invest gold, what are the advantages, disadvantages of each of these, and also what percentage of your overall portfolio should be gold. Because do remember, there are two very auspicious occasions during the day, during the year, Akshaya Tritiya as well as Dhanteras, where one purchases gold. So let's bring on board Harish Varadhan Rungta of Rungta Securities. Harish, thank you for joining us on The Money Show. You can't say no to gold, right? And especially during the festive season is when one really does want to indulge in this precious commodity. So what advice you would give our viewers so that they do not expose themselves to gold in a way that it tends to hamper the overall financial portfolio's returns? Because at the end of the day, gold is considered a safe haven asset. It is risk free, well, virtually risk free, but it does have low returns.
Mubina, let's talk about a situation wherein we're buying gold on the auspicious day of Dussehra and Akshaya Tritiya. So if you're buying from a perspective of owning it or buying it during these festivals, then of course you will go in for a token purchase. I mean, you do not really go in for large quantums of investments in gold per se. So you could restrict it to probably a 1 gram or a 10 grams worth of gold, because the purpose is that you're buying it on an auspicious day. However, when you talk about it in the form of investment, so if you're talking about really investing your money into gold, so when you're investing money, which means that it also has an exit attached to it, which means that at any point in time you will also not mind selling it and liquidating it, because to fulfill your goals or to fulfill any other purpose, you may have just returns in your mind. So if you're buying gold from an investment perspective, then there are a lot of things that you must keep in mind, whether it is going to be able to beat inflation over a period of time, how much percentage of my total investment should be invested into commodities, precious metals such as gold or silver for that matter. So there are different parameters to be considered with a purpose of buying. So as I said, if it's for auspicious purpose, buy a token make a token purchase and don't really think about investments. But if it's a part of your investment portfolio, then there are a lot of other things: taxability, the returns, potential for returns, the liquidity, all those aspects need to be kept in mind.
Okay, all right. So ideally speaking, if I have to put a number, for the benefit of all our viewers, in my financial portfolio, I have mutual funds, that's basically equities. I have maybe a bit of real estate as well. It may be the home that I'm owning. I would be having certain PPFs, fixed deposits. How much really should be gold? And also, we've obviously collected a lot of gold over the years, a spouse's gold, your mother's gold, etc. Should all of that as well form a part of the portfolio when you're considering how much gold is enough?
So, well, as I said, if it's an investment that you're looking at, then there is a huge weightage to be given on liquidity. So the gold that we're talking about, which is in the form of jewelry, which has come from your mother or your own jewelry, I don't think there really is an element of saleability in it, because nobody really wants to sell their jewelry. So if you've bought gold, converted into jewelry, I don't think any women in India would ever want to sell it off. So if you're not going to sell it, there is no question of it being an investment. It is something for self-consumption, which you will possibly pass on to your children as well. So let's put jewelry aside. Now when I'm talking about investments, it has to be in the form of something that you can sell. So it could be either a paper gold, it could be in the form of gold bars and coins, which you can liquidate for fulfilling any other goal in your life. Now coming to how much percentage should be as a part of your portfolio. So minus your jewelry, minus anything that you will not sell, any form of gold that you don't intend to sell at all, leave that aside. From a purely investment perspective, an allocation of about 10% is recommended, with a simple reason. Gold, we believe in terms of potential to generate returns, it matches that with inflation. So you will find a return. If you look at the last 1 year return, they've been exponentially good. So we've looked at returns at about 20-22% in the last 1 year. But if you go a little longer, say a 3 year or a 5 year tenure, you will see the returns are in the range of 6.5 to 7%. So that is what we believe gold will give you over any long term period, will give you about a 7% kind of a return, which helps you beat or meet inflation, rather, not even beat inflation. So having about a 10% allocation of your investable portfolio in gold is something that we recommend. The other 90% would be in debt, equity, etc., which overall weighted average return of the entire portfolio should be in double figures, so that you actually create wealth for yourself.
So basically, Harsh, to summarize, and to all the husbands listening out there, stay away from your wife's jewelry. I think that's what Harsh is saying. Putting it simply, because you're not going to sell that. That's, for posterity, etc. Investable gold is what you have to look at. But Harsh, one very, very niggling factor is the fact that in the last 1 month, or in the last 2 months actually, we've seen gold go to 40,000 rupees, or at least it had that touch and go moment. This is a big, big surge in gold. In fact, when people say that, oh, I've earned money in gold, I think it's been in the last 1 odd year itself. So it could be a little bit of a costly proposition, I suppose, for a lot of our viewers out there to go buy gold. But is there any other form of gold that's available? Like we spoke about digital gold, e-gold, and whenever you add e to anything, the costs automatically drop of that object. Is that the case with gold as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you put up a very good point as to if you're, so again, emphasizing on the fact that whatever gold you're looking at from investment perspective, so it need not be in the form of physical gold. You do not really need to have coins, because as I said, eventual purpose is that it will be sold, liquidated to meet your goals. Could be children's education, could be retirement, could be anything for that matter. So if you're owning gold from an investment perspective, why keep the hassles and why undertake all that trouble of actually safeguarding it, putting it in a probably a locker, the fear of misplacing it? Let's just get away with all that, and you can invest in paper gold. So it's in the form of paper, and it is electronically stored in your either demat account, or it is there in the form of a ledger, which is the sovereign gold bonds that we're talking about. So these are very, very effective and very good ways of investing in gold. So let's just take an example of sovereign gold bonds. Besides the actual benefit of price fluctuations, which you will gain or lose in both cases, there is an interest payout of 2.5%. So you're just getting paid 2.5% every year for the next 8 years that you own the paper. So that is in addition to whatever the appreciation gold may undertake. So paper gold is not only very convenient to invest into and store, but it is also very tax efficient, especially if you're looking at the sovereign gold bonds, which you will hold up till 8 years until maturity. The entire gains are tax exempt. So why would anybody from an investment perspective hold gold in the form of coins? So my recommendation and suggestion is that yes, just repeating, stay away from your wife's gold. That's not for investments, and that's never going to be available to you for selling. So invest in paper gold, and if you're looking at paper gold, sovereign gold bonds is one of the most superior forms of investments.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Harsh, for that. I remember the last time we spoke about sovereign gold bonds as well, the tranche had opened, and you had really put forward some very interesting and valid points on why people should opt for sovereign gold bonds as opposed to, your physical gold, and now, of course, carrying forward that points as well. Thank you, Harsh, and wishing you and your family a very happy Dussehra. Well, on that note, we on The Money Show as well will wrap it up. We've got a lot of festive shopping to do, so we will see you back on Wednesday, same time, same place. Until then, enjoy your festive season.